Anyways, thanks for coming on, Mark. One thing I want to start on is kind of where you're based now. So you're from Belfast, obviously, originally, and then you moved to Barcelona. How long ago was that? And then what was the kind of motivation for moving over there?
So I've grew up in Belfast all my life, and then I moved out of my parents' house just as COVID started.
Okay.
And it was kind of just as my career was starting, where I was able to do it full time. And I lived by myself for 1 or 2 years, and I kind of got into a bit of a rut. COVID happened. I got a taste of what I could be doing, and then COVID came and completely ruined it. And I was kind of lost. What the fuck just happened? I've been blue balled by the universe. And I was working in the call center where you phone people and tell them they have COVID and they need to isolate
During
COVID. And then I was drinking a lot. I was doing a lot of substances I probably shouldn't be doing. I was in this real routine of just sitting in people's living rooms drinking.
Yeah,
I'm sure you know the score. And I was I need to get out of here. I need to do something different. I'm not really doing my full potential in Belfast, and I love Belfast and all my friends were there, but I just felt I needed a new adventure. And I was on holiday with my parents in Salou, which is an hour away from Barcelona, and we took a day trip up to Barcelona. I was kind of just sitting there having a coffee. It's I actually really, really love this place. I would love to live here. I went back to Belfast and looked into it, and then 2 or 3 months later I moved over there.
Yeah.
It's been great. I've met a girl over there who's I've been dating for 2 years now, and we live together in a lovely little apartment. I'm not drinking.
Nice.
I don't really go out. I go to a few festivals during the summer, but yeah, it was a great decision.
I'm sure the sun helps as well.
It was the main thing. Waking up in Belfast and the skies are grey just makes me sad, man. And waking up in Barcelona, even if it's during the winter, the sky's still blue.
Yeah.
You can still see the sun. You feel better about yourself just automatically when you wake up.
One thing I read as well online is that, when you moved to Barcelona, you found that your creativity was a lot better. I think you were mentioning you had this big studio in Belfast, and then when you moved to Barcelona, it was kind of more minimal, kind of laptop lifestyle.
Well, I used to rent a big studio in Belfast, and it was great to have somewhere where you go get your head down for 5 or 6 hours, and then you go home and you switch off. And it was nice to have that balance between work and leisure. And the studio was big. You used to have parties in it all the time, which was kind of part of the problem I was saying about, where I got sucked into this lifestyle that wasn't the best for me musically. It was fun, but musically it just wasn't the best path to be going down. I moved to Barcelona, and I thought, okay, I'm going to this massive city, because Belfast is a very small music scene. What it has there is really good, but it's still very small. It's still very tight knit. You don't have that much room to expand. I was I'm going to go to Barcelona. I'm going to work with all these people. I'm going to get all these instruments. I'm going to rent a studio. But I got there, and all I had was my laptop, and it was some of the best music I was making just using my laptop, using the VSTs, no hardware, nothing. I fell down a trap where I thought the more hardware I bought and the more expensive hardware I bought, the better producer was going to be. It's not how it works. So I wasted a load of money doing that, and then
is there any truth to that or no?
For me, no. Maybe I'm just not good enough to be using them to their full potential, but for making rave music, I just find VSTs and stuff like Serum just so much easier to get the sounds that I want for my tracks. The hardware's fun if you want to play around and have a bit of crack and jam and stuff, but for me, I just wanted to make the best tracks, and for me, VSTs, my laptop enabled them was all I needed to do that.
Nice. And then when did you start DJing? So what age are you now, and then when did you
I'm
start?
30, and I started DJing when I was 7. I think it was 16 or 17. My girlfriend had my childhood girlfriend had broken up with me, and I was what can I do to piss her off? So I was I'm gonna become a famous DJ, because this was whenever I was Martin Garrix and all that big house EDM was what was trending at the time. So I was I'll just become a famous DJ, and then she'll be really, really annoyed about it. So I bought a little controller mixer for £100 and started DJing at house parties. I went to uni in Derry, and I got a gig there, playing to 2 people, which was great at the time. I felt like the coolest man alive. And then from there, just kept moving up.
Yeah.
I've reached a sort of plateau where nobody serious would book me for a show. Like there was no serious promoters. It was just like kind of people that would book me in the hope that I would bring 10 friends with me, and they would give me some free beer. But there was no like serious like music promoters that were booking me, and that's when.
And how long into your journey was that when you weren't getting traction?
That was like 2 or 3 years.
2 or 3 years.
Okay. 2 or 3 years. Like it for the first 3 years, I was just playing to my friends at pre-drinks.
Yeah. Okay. So at what point then did you start to kind of take it seriously and treat it as a job?
The point where it kind of got serious is whenever people weren't booking me, I was like, okay, what can I do here? Like, I want to play music to as many people as I can. I was like, okay, I'll throw my own events. And that's whenever I started a brand called Genesis. And we would throw, like, illegal parties. We would, like, rent out really dodgy, like, paramilitary bars and, like, give them, like, £500. And they would, like, board up the windows for the night. And like me and like 20 or 30 of my friends would like go to a little back room and just kind of take a load of ecstasy and just fucking dance till like 6 a.m. It was amazing. Like it was a great experience, and it was a great learned experience of how to play to people that are in that mindset of high on life and they want to rave and they want to party. Like that's where I really honed in and crafted and what gets the people like hyped up, or what gets them being like, oh my God, like what the fuck's this? Like that type of reaction.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's kind of where it started. And then from there, we slowly built up. We got to a point where we didn't have to do illegal parties anymore. And we started booking other artists. We booked DJ Boring and people like Ludes and stuff like that in like 350 capacity venues.
Yeah.
And just kind of went from there.
So that was the main inspiration then of starting your own collective, was to get kind of on the lineup.
Yeah, 100%.
Promote your career as a DJ.
100%.
Did you ever see the collective as something that you want to do long term and turn into a proper business? Or is that feasible? Because I know it's hard.
I think it is. It's definitely a goal, but right now I'm happy just kind of focusing on my own music and doing my thing there and kind of getting as best as I can at that. Once I've kind of reached the point where I'm happy with that, that's when I would look into the, obviously at Genesis, it was called that at the start, but now it's called Barbed.
Yeah.
So it's definitely, like I work on it all the time and we do like really crazy big parties and we're releasing music regularly, but like I definitely don't give it my full attention. I've got a bit of a help from my manager, Johnny, but it's not really, we don't invest any money in it. We kind of just do it as like a passion project. It's a bit of a, it's good to meet other artists and like have these fun parties, but yeah.
And like back in the day, I guess when you're kind of first running your events in the first year or so, who did you have helping you? And like, is it a lot running your events? Like, is it feasible, for the artists who say, I'm going to start my own collective because I can get on the lineup? Is it a good route to take, or is there easier ways to get out there as a DJ?
Mean, it's a lot of effort, and definitely for like the illegal rave side of things, where you have to rent all your own equipment, your own decks, sort out your own door security. That was a lot of effort. I remember we did an illegal rave in a old warehouse, but it was on like the 6th floor. So you had to go up these like old stone steps, and we had to carry these big fuck off speakers up and down like 6 floors of sets. And like sometimes I can convince my friends to help me by like being, oh, come help me, like I'll give you a few beers, but most of the time it's me. And then the next day it's like you have to carry it all back down, bring it back to the rental shop. But it was worth it, 100% worth it at the time. Those were some of the best times I've had DJing, just raw energy.
Yeah. No
money behind it. Like you don't really make any money. You're not doing it because, oh, like I'm going to get €500 for doing this. It's just purely for the love of music and purely for the love of playing music to people that enjoy it.
Yeah.
When did it become like, I suppose then, about a love for the music as opposed to like a resentment to your girlfriend?
When did it stop?
What started changing it then, where it became a passion for the actual music itself rather than just trying to become a famous DJ? Or was it just through that process that you started to love it? No, I would say like
the first time, like I had like, the first time I did a set, the people that were there to actually listen to music, like I played the sets in the club and there's people there, but they're not there to listen to your music.
They're not there for the music.
They're there to like try and find someone to make out with or to get fucked up as much as they can and be annoying. But the first time like I played like a rave type setting, that's when I'm like, holy shit, this is incredible. Like these people are like watching me like do this and they're reacting to things that I'm doing. and I'm able to control their reactions by playing different songs or different build-ups. Like, that's whenever I was kind of like, okay, this is fucking sick.
Yeah. Would you say you prefer the big crowds or the smaller, more intimate ones?
Definitely smaller. Like, some of the big festivals I've been playing lately, it just feels so weird. Like, if you turn the booth monitor off so that there's no sound up in the stage area, like, all you hear is like boom, boom, like little like whispers, and you're kind of like, okay. I can't tell if they're enjoying this. Like, if you're in a small club and you play a fucking banger, people are cheering and going, you fucking come on, and you hear it and you're connected to that. At a festival, you don't see that, you don't hear it. It's not. It
just looks good on social media.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not until I watch the videos back the next day or people tag me in their story, that's whenever like I hear people going you and cheering. And I'm like, okay, I must have went okay then.
How do you feel about like phones in clubs now? Do you feel it's like, where do you feel it's at? Because I think Index in Dublin just announced like a new night with no phones. No phone, have you played in gigs before where there's a no phone policy?
I don't think so. And I do see a lot of people doing the no phones policy, but I mean, come on, I think it would be better without phones, but like we're past that stage. Like, it's not feasible to expect these people, especially the kids and the COVID generation that grew up on like TikTok and all this shit, to come in. I think in the hard techno scene and the techno scene, it's not as bad, but there's some videos in like the tech house scene where people are just standing, like they're not even dancing.
Yeah.
Their flashes are on, they're all just crowded around, and it looks fucking horrible. The vibes are horrible, but I feel like hard techno, people are videoing, but they're still like jumping about, they're still like raving. I think, and of course without phones would be better, but I just don't think it's possible to ask that of people.
No, I don't think so.
I think the aim is kind of being misinterpreted though. Like, back to what you were saying, you've played so many clubs where, you know, you're doing your thing, but people don't really care, or they're not there for the music. I think that the aim with no phones is more so to get people to be more present on the dance floor,
connected.
Because again, there's no connection when you're viewing an experience through your phone screen. So I think it's just about getting people to kind of actually step into the dance floor a little bit more.
It's definitely nuance. Like, there's people there that are massive fans and they're videoing you because they're a fan of you, and you're playing a song that they recognize or that they listened to on Spotify before they came, and like it's a nice experience for them. And then you have the other group of people that are videoing you like up in your face, trying to get a good video for Instagram to kind of show off that they're at a rave.
It's not
like a engaging. It's more performative. So like there definitely is different variations of it, and obviously it's impossible to be like, okay, you can use your phone, but you can't because you're an annoying cunt. Like, it's not feasible to do that.
And it also helps you as the artist, you know, with exposure when people are videoing you and sharing it. So it's not like it's not exactly super beneficial if you said no phones. Anyways, on to the next thing. That's not your brand of merchandise? No. Okay, it looked like, because Barbed is a label that you started. When did you start that now? A few years ago?
Yeah, so it started as Genesis doing the events, and then I moved to Barbed during COVID. And the start of COVID is when I started like rebranding it and like sort of moving it, and then I did the label more so I could self-release tracks, because like I hated working with labels. It wasn't an enjoyable process for me working with them. I was building up a lot of resentment because I was working with labels that I really liked, but it was being like at the end of it, like, what the fuck was that? That was really horrible. Like, you're screwing me over. You don't actually care about my music. It just wasn't a good experience. It was like, I don't want to self-release under Mark Blair, so I wanted like a label that I could at least put on Beatport and have like a official sort of process of releasing my music.
Yeah. Why didn't you want to self-release under your own name? What's the cons of that?
Well, one of the cons is you can't get your song on Beatport without a label. So that was the main reason. But apart from that, like, self-releasing is totally fine. Like, even doing a free download on SoundCloud, like, that's where some of my best performing music came from. Just doing like a free download on SoundCloud, put no help from the label, no investment into marketing, just free download. It hits the algorithm right, and it works.
Yeah.
And you get to keep all the money from that. You get control over the artwork. You get to control what you want to do with it. You get to see all the money come in from it. Like, it's definitely beneficial.
When you want to drop it as well.
Yeah. If you want to take it down, you can take it down. You don't have to ask a label who'll probably say no. But yeah, obviously the only way I see it beneficial relationship with a label is whenever it's one of the bigger ones and they have more contacts, or they're actually going to invest into a proper like marketing plan, and they're going to put like £5,000 into press promo and stuff like that, then that can be beneficial to you. But a lot of the hard techno labels or the techno labels just don't do that. They find a song that they hope will go viral, take it up, take 50%, release it, and never do anything with it ever again. They don't promote it. They don't talk about it ever again. They just leave it there, hope someone makes a TikTok video with it and it goes viral, and then they can collect the money.
Yeah. Is it an easy trap to fall into, like, for these artists who are getting approached by the labels?
For sure. Like, whenever you're like a small artist, like, you dream of getting signed.
Yeah.
Because it's what people talk about, like, oh, this guy got signed to Universal Music with a £10 million record deal, and you're like, you think that's like this amazing thing. First of all, you have to pay that £10 million back from the sales of your music. Second of all, you're not working with Universal Music, you're working with some guy from his basement in Belgium.
Yeah. Like our previous guest, Connor Byrne, it was exactly that. Someone signed him to Universal, and then he ended up leaving the company. He was his A&R, and he left the company, and then Connor was kind of left on hold.
Serious?
And it wasn't the experience that he thought of when you think of Universal, you know?
It's always the way. Like, it's just not worth it. Of course, people find it more difficult. Like, I have experience from running my own brands. I also did digital marketing for my uni degree. So I have a little bit of experience with like how to promote my music or how to brand it and how to design the process of it. So like for me, it's maybe a little bit easier than someone that only knows how to make the music that might feel a little bit lost when it comes to that process of promoting it. So maybe a small label will actually be able to help them. But for me personally, self-releasing or through Barbed is definitely my favorite way of releasing music.
Have you many artists signed now?
I did a VA release with like 10 artists who did really well.
What's a VA release?
Various artists. So there's 10 different artists in like one release.
Okay.
And then I've got a release from Scarney.
Yeah, Sean.
From Galway. He's got a release. It did really well. And there's
was that his others. Flip?
Yeah, the Love Parade thing. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like samples, people taking samples. Like if you go to another label, they're going to be a lot more strict about what samples you're using, and if in the contract it'll say like you're liable for everything, like lawsuits, all that shit. If anything happens, it's on you. Not this label who's a professional company with limited liability. You per little artist are fucked if anything goes wrong with this. So like you're getting extra risk by doing that.
And in a scene that's so, I suppose, like everything now is centralized around like Instagram and TikTok content. And I suppose a lot of people kind of design tracks that think will go viral. How do you, I suppose, like 100%. There's a certain element that you have to play the game, but how do you remain, how do you play the game and also remain authentic in what you're putting out?
Yeah, well, definitely with TikTok becoming such a thing, people have such short attention spans. So trying to convince someone new to listen to your 6-minute track is almost impossible at this point. So I never go into a track and think, okay, how can I make this good for TikTok? Yeah, like I don't go in thinking like that, but obviously if my build-up's too long or the drop's too long and it goes like 30 seconds, like I just know it's not going to pop off on TikTok. But at the same time, you don't really know what's going to pop off on TikTok until it happens. But I don't know. I feel like it's getting worse, and people have such easy access to music production and loop packages and splice.com where you can download any like loops that you want, and people just throw stuff together, put it out there, and it's just made the whole industry so saturated with like boring music, repetitive music. So if anyone releases something unique and special, it's just getting lost in a mountain of trash, I think.
Going back to Barb for a minute, like how did you go about building the brand, and like were you fairly confident for the beginning, or was it like a shot in the dark where you didn't think it was going to work? And kind of what are some of the strategies that you found worked well for the brand? Because I know you did a podcast for a bit as well.
That's right.
Yeah. How was that experience?
Well, for the podcast, it was purely we were bored during COVID. It was me, my manager Johnny, and a best friend of ours, and we didn't really have much to do. and we're like, fuck it, we'll start a podcast. It went well. Like, we had DJ Bourne on as a guest, and we were getting people listening, and because COVID was happening, people didn't really have much else to do, so they were kind of they were looking for stuff to consume. So like it did well, but I obviously moved to Barcelona, which made it impossible to continue. But it's definitely something I would like to go back to. And now that I've grown as an artist, like I have a lot of access to other artist friends who would come on and chat, or we can bring a microphone and a setup to the festivals backstage and do a quick 30-minute in the interview in the green room. So it's definitely something I would look into. And when it comes to building brand, like our building Barbed, it was never something that I'm like, oh, I really want Barbed to be this big, massive thing. As I said earlier, it was just kind of like a creative outlet for me, whereas my personal stuff was always preference. So it was kind of just like a little side project, and I don't pay too much attention to it. Like I put a little bit of work into it. We do the yearly Barbed party in Belfast with Shine, which is always fucking insane. Like we sell it out every time. It's like 4,000, 5,000 people. So
Jesus,
even though it's a side project, it's still it's going well.
It's in the Telegraph building, isn't it?
Telegraph, yeah.
It grows a little bit more organically though as well, when you're not like
100%
over applying or forcing it to grow, you know, as 100%. A business.
Like
because it's more about the love of the music.
And I'm in absolutely no rush. Like I'm not trying to make it into something that I'm not trying to force it into being something. Like I'm just kind of letting it be there.
Yeah.
I use it for my releases. I use it for smaller artist releases. I do the parties, and like it's enjoyable. I'm having fun with it, and it's growing at a slow but steady pace, which is completely fine with me. I'm in no rush.
Yeah. I want to ask you about your tattoos. What was kind of the inspiration behind the black and red ink style? Because you have it kind of throughout, don't you?
I do. And to be perfectly honest with you,
when did you start as well? Like kind of building the
first one was, I'll not show you, but I got Thug Life on my ass, my ass cheek, whenever I was 16. I don't know why I did it. I just kind of thought it'd be funny.
That was a big meme for a while.
Yeah, it was. That shows you how old I was, because that was like years and years ago. That was a meme. And yeah, so I got that one first, and then didn't get any for a few years, and then went to a guy in Dublin called Zin. I think it's Heartbreak Social Club, it's called.
Okay.
And the first one I got was like a black and red snake. See, the second one I got was my mum and dad's name on my arms.
Okay.
Because I knew they wouldn't be able to shout at me if I got their names.
Yeah.
So I got that, and then I got the black and red tattoo. And once I got one black and red one, I was kind of like, okay, I'll get a second one. And once I got the second one, I was like, well, I kind of need to get them all black and red now. So every time I got a tattoo, I went to the same guy, and he did a new black and red tattoo. And then I moved to Barcelona and found a really good guy who did the very similar style, the black and red. So I've been going to him the past 2 years, and now I'm kind of
nice up
to this.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, I like it. One thing as well that I read about was that you used to work for AVA Festival.
That's no. I applied to work at AVA Festival.
Oh, really? Did you not work?
Did you not work? Sorry, I did. Yeah. I used to work as a ticket seller for AVA.
Okay.
That's what it was. I worked for the first few years they were running. I was a ticket seller. I was like one of the best ticket sellers. I remember I won like their second place prize and got like some merchandise.
How many did they have, ticket sellers?
Probably like 15 to 20. Like it started off with a very small festival.
I didn't realize. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, the first one was only like 2,000 people maybe at the first festival, and they had Bicep like headlining it. So it was a very boutique, small festival. But yeah, so I did that, and that was a nice way to get introduced to the girl that runs it, called Sarah, is Bicep's sister, and it was a good connection to her. And after that, I was able to like send her my music and stuff personally. And then a few years after that's whenever they booked me for the first time, and then they booked me every year after that for 4 years, and then the fourth and final year was the Boiler Room year.
Nice,
which was great.
Yeah, the Boiler Room. That must have been a real full circle moment.
Oh my goodness.
Going from like working there, and then as well, you know, it being in your hometown must be insane.
Like the Boiler Room set was the pinnacle. Like that was like everything I was working towards for years. Like, because I would always watch them growing up, and like obviously they're always on the after parties, and yeah, it was always like that's the dream. Like once I've did the Boiler Room set, like I've completed
the game.
I've completed the game, and I got it, and it was in my hometown. So like all my friends were in the front row going fucking crazy. my parents came and they ended up coming onto the stage at the end of the set. It was honestly definitely the best day of my life.
How did you feel in the build up to it? Were you nervous?
I thought I would be nervous, but it was actually I was chill.
Yeah.
I prepared a lot for it. Like, I kind of knew exactly what I was going to play. Like, basically every track I played was pre-planned. Like, I knew which track was coming after which track, and I'd been in my room like practicing it and playing it. So like I knew what I was doing. I was confident that I was gonna.
Yeah, is it like an hour set usually for Boiler Room?
An hour set, yeah.
Okay.
Why do you think DJs hold it at such a high place?
I don't know. I think back then it was definitely in a higher place than it is today.
I think they're starting to lose their.
You think so?
Yeah,
they've lost their soul a bit.
They've lost their soul, definitely, and I think it has commercialized very heavily.
Yeah.
Why is it? Yeah. Is that not a case that they're just so big and they're just like, why is it? Why were they so successful in the beginning, anyways, and then why have they fallen off, in your opinion?
I think that it's more content based now than I think DJ based. It's about marketability. It's about being able to sell events, and they infuse as well. It's not just Boiler Room now; they're infusing into festivals, and stages. And
that's right. I would say when they started doing the just normal events, and it wasn't like videoed, it wasn't the DJ sets. It was kind of when it went like lost a bit of its soul. Like, oh, you're playing a Boiler Room set. Oh, is it even getting videoed? Like, kind of lost a bit of its magic.
And also, like, the artists that they're booking, I think it's less underground now than like it's like the same kind of 30, 40 DJs playing 3 or 4 Boiler Rooms in the space of a couple of months, rather than it being, your one golden opportunity to showcase yourself.
Okay,
yeah. It used to be a lot more rare occurrence to get the opportunity of Boiler Room, but now like they have them like every week in different cities, and more people are playing them. It's kind of losing that speciality, I think.
Yeah,
still a great achievement.
Not to discredit, at all. But, is obviously
it's such an incredible brand, and even their merchandise is like so sick. Like,
same with Teletech's like their branding has absolutely been incredible. The marketing, like, I've never in my life seen a promoter blow up like that, like a brand. Like, it's always the DJ or the artist blows up, but I've never seen a promoter go that viral.
And that kind of ties into like the techno TikTok kind of trend, doesn't it?
Yeah.
With the videos are so engaging.
Yeah.
And then Teletech merchandise kind of being everywhere, and
branding being
Teletalk, Teletalk. Yeah, their branding being everywhere. Yeah.
When did you stop drinking?
I would say during COVID I was going heavy at the beers. And I came out of COVID and I played a first DJ set back, and I remember I got really drunk. I was kind of like, this isn't good. Like, I'm not playing a good DJ set. Like, I'm not being in control of what I'm playing. Like, I'm not even remembering these special moments. And it's kind of like, I need to stop. And I cut down, and then I would slip back into it. And then I would get too drunk again and be like, what the fuck are you doing? Or...
it completely changes the way that you approach your sets. It changes the song selection. It changes the style of mixing you do.
The first few sets that I played sober were like horrible. Like, I was so jittery. I was making a lot of mistakes. Like, I couldn't look up from the decks. I was so nervous and anxious. But like, the more I did it, the more I got comfortable, and I reached a point where I was playing these big massive festivals sober, and I would come off the stage and like my legs would be like shaking from like adrenaline, and I'm like so hyped up, like feeling this incredible surge of energy, and I'm like, this is way better than
music is
drinking.
Such a drug, yeah. And that energy that you can get off of a crowd as well.
I think the problem is whenever you play a set and it's not a great turnout. Definitely whenever I was starting DJing, I was drinking a lot. Like, if I had a gig and it was a bad turnout, I would get so fucked up to compensate for it, because I'm like I need to make this fun for myself firstly, and secondly for the 5 people that have showed up. And the drunker I get, I thought, the more fun it'll be. Obviously that wasn't the case, but that was always the mindset, and that's what maybe got me in some bad situations of getting too drunk, of trying to compensate, or just being like trying to drink the sorrows away. But
how long did it take until it started to become enjoyable after you stopped drinking? It's the same thing if, on nights out, people are used to drinking to have a good time, and they go and stop it and see how it goes, and then it's not enjoyable. But I guess there's a period where you have to wait and kind of get the body used to it.
Like, you're not going to stop drinking one weekend and get all these amazing benefits and feel like your mental health is better and get your skin clear and lose a load of weight. Like, it's definitely a slow process, and the longer you can do it, the more you start to enjoy it, and the more you see the benefits, and you'll get this mental clarity, and you'll lose weight, and your skin looks better, and your mental health is way better. So yeah, it's definitely a slow process, but I would recommend it to everyone.
Yeah.
I began cutting down early last year, and then in September I kicked the can on it completely.
Really?
And it's the same buzz where, like, you know, week after week, month after month, all my friends that are still drinking are like, oh man, you must feel great. And I was kind of like, no, not really.
Yeah.
Like, you don't really notice the benefits of it. But when you're being rigorously honest about where it's putting you creatively, where it's putting you in terms of how present you are on nights out as well, I definitely wouldn't go back. Like, I much rather, you know, being present with sobriety. It's definitely a gift.
Absolutely.
Do you have a balance with it now?
Yeah. Well, I think in the past like 3 or 4 months, I've had like one night of drinking. It was just with me and my girlfriend in Barcelona. It actually went horrible. Like, we had like 6 or 7 beers, and we're like being sick the next day. Like, I think my body's like got to the point where it's like rejecting this like poison.
Yeah,
that's what it is. At base, like, alcohol literally is poison.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget that.
Yeah, obviously being a DJ, it's fucking hard. Like, you go into a festival and your friends are there and everyone's drinking, everyone's getting fucked up. The promoters firing free bottles of vodka at you. Like, it does take a lot to be like, no, I don't want that, or telling people, no, it's okay, I don't want a beer, and they're trying to force it down your fucking throat.
Yeah.
But it definitely is difficult, but you can reach a point where it's possible.
I think a really dangerous thing that alcohol gets dubbed is, especially in the scene, is like liquid courage. You hear that used a lot, but it's really, really unhealthy, because the courage should just naturally come from your own confidence in your own talent.
Absolutely.
And it shouldn't, you shouldn't need to have liquid courage to be able to look up and engage with the crowd.
That was the main reason I would drink a lot when I was first starting out. It was like I needed that confidence and courage to play these sets, and I'd only ever DJ'd drunk since I started. Like, I wouldn't play sober. It wasn't because I'm there to party. Like, I'm there to get fucked up. DJing was just kind of a part of it. So it was definitely hard to change the mindset of like, this isn't a party. Like, I'm here to do a performance, to play music. Like, people are paying tickets to hear music that I've made, and like, they deserve better than just me getting fucked up. But of course, I think if you have a few drinks and you vibe, you can definitely reach a level where you can get a bit tipsy and kind of vibe with the crowd, and it's okay. Like, I'm not saying every DJ has to be sober. Like, people can do it, and people can play better sets when they're a bit tipsy and do have a bit more confidence, because realistically, alcohol does loosen you up a bit. Let's be real. But for me personally, and it is personal preference, I think I'm better sober. My sets are better sober, and I enjoy it more sober.
Nice. Yeah, that's probably refreshing for a lot of people to hear. People who are on the edge of maybe making that transition.
I mean, there's a lot of peers and colleagues I see that have all fell down the trap of feeling that they have to get fucked up, or they fell into the lifestyle of the free drugs and the free alcohol and the heavy turn schedules, and there's not really much you can say to them. There's kind of stuff they have to work out by themselves. Like, you can tell them, oh, don't do that, it's bad, but they're not going to listen until they kind of reach a point where they're like, oh, this is kind of bad, or this isn't great for my mental health or my physical body.
Would you say that's the main downside of kind of being in your position, the pressure to drink, and I guess the touring and the travel and lack of sleep?
Absolutely. I think it's very, very hard to stay healthy. Like, lately I've been really going hard at the gym and trying to eat extremely healthy, but whenever I'm turned, it's impossible to get, some chicken breast and some broccoli anywhere. Like, I came into Dublin Airport, I got a pre-packaged tomato and pasta chicken salad thing and a protein bar, which isn't the worst, but after here, like, I'll have to go to the spa and just get some like chicken slices, like lunch meat, if I want to like hit my protein goal and stay healthy. So it's hard.
When did you start that fitness journey? Was it early on or only recently?
I think whenever I stopped drinking so much, I had to fill it with something else. So I started running. Like, everyone's been doing that. They've been quitting drinking, starting running. It's like the cool new thing to do. So I did that, and then ran a marathon in Barcelona, which was great because like the training kept me busy. Like, I was waking up on a Saturday morning to go for like a 20-kilometer run, so that would make me sit in on Friday. So it was a great tool to help me stop drinking.
Yeah.
But ever since then, I've just kind of been slowly losing weight and getting healthier, and it's great.
Yeah, I can't go back then.
No way.
Once you know what it feels like to be healthy.
Although I've got the 4-week Australia tour coming up, so I'm kind of worried that I'll fall back into old habits.
Yeah.
It's all about a balance, really.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you manage you travel a lot, I suppose, with DJing, so you're changing time zones a lot, I can imagine, as well. How do you balance trying to find rest?
I think I've become quite the master at napping. So like whenever I'm flying, like I can sleep the whole way. If I'm ever getting a coach, I can sleep. So although I'm like not getting much sleep at nighttime, like I'm getting naps throughout the day. Whenever I go home to Barcelona after the events, like I always make sure I go to bed early, and I won't set an alarm for Monday morning. I'll just like let my body sleep until it wants to wake up. And usually by doing that, it's right back to normal. Tuesday afternoon, or Monday afternoon, back in the gym or back working on music.
We all just got to take more naps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be a happier place.
Yeah, I never got into that.
No,
just caffeine.
You should try.
I'm a nap king, but like not by choice.
I don't know when the last time I took a nap is, unless I'm obviously traveling, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, it's definitely.
Are you big on the coffees?
Yeah, love coffee. I bought like this cool coffee machine in my house in Barcelona. It's like you just press the button and it can make like cappuccinos or espressos or Americanos. You just hit the button. I love it. You put the beans in the top and it grinds them up and does it.
Nice.
Love it.
I guess production then. When did you start producing? How far into your DJ journey?
I would say about a year in, I was playing around. When I first started, I was using Fruity Loops.
Okay.
And I first started, I was making like really bad mashups and shit. And then I kind of just went from there. I kind of gave up for a few years, downloaded Ableton and came back and started making edits.
Yeah.
I would recommend that to anyone that wants to get into producing, is to start off, don't jump in trying to make your own track and make your own melodies. Like, find a song you like, find the stems for it, or find what key it's in, and just kind of add some elements to it, mix things around, chop up the melody, and like, it's really good practice to see. It's really good practice being able to use something that's already good, and you're working with something that's good, and you can like make it into something that's better or just as good just by chopping it up or adding some, like, I used to always add like 303 acid lines to tracks, and it was really good practice, like learning how to put the melody and the MIDI notes. And I would definitely recommend that for people that want to get into learning, is download your favorite track and try and remix it.
Yeah.
They'll probably fail the first 10 times, but like you'll learn a lot by trying.
Yeah. And did you gain much traction then with them edits?
Oh fuck no. They were horrible.
So was it only when you started producing your like original music?
The first original, well, it wasn't really original. Yeah, it was original. The I Miss the Old Kanye track was the first one that kind of
banger.
Yeah, people love that one. I fucking hate it now though. And that was the first one that kind of people actually listened to.
I think that was the first track I'd heard of yours.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. It was that one, and Biggie was a jazz fan. Were the two tracks that like kind of took off.
And why do you think they took off? Was there anything you did differently outside of the song?
I think the track name I Miss the Old Kanye was pretty cool.
Okay.
And I feel like that made people click on it. Plus like the beat in it was like decent enough. The Biggie was a jazz fan. It's a pretty interesting name. Like, people are like, what? Like, it makes them interested.
Is that something you've taken forward then? The names of your songs, because it's not something I would have thought about. That's important.
People don't realize that the name is so important, especially in this day and age where people don't have enough attention to give out. Like, you need to have a hook to make them click on it or to make them listen. I don't know. I don't really know how I come up with names. I come up with something at the start to name the project file.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'll just put this temporary name in, but I'll change it later. But then I get so used to like opening the project and working on it and seeing that name, I always end up just using the first name I use. And I'm like, okay, I've got that connection now to it, but I should maybe try and change it up a bit.
I produce a lot in coffee shops, just different coffee shops.
Yeah.
And that's usually the project file just gets named after the
Really?
coffee shop.
Really? What do you call your tracks then?
I actually like, I title all of mine in Irish.
Oh really? Brilliant.
I've only released one tune though, but like in my catalogue everything's titled Tosquelga.
Nice.
And all my mixes are all in Irish as well.
Great.
Which again doesn't, back to like, you know, it kind of goes against what you're saying. It does. I do kind of suffer, I suppose, on the other side of it, because no one knows what the words mean really.
Yeah.
So I'm just relying solely on algorithm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like I could name tracks that, you know, would be a bit more clickbaity, but it just doesn't feel authentic either.
Yeah, it's the same as I was saying with, if you want to get started, like making edits. If you're making an edit of a song, like you're piggybacking off the hype of the song you're editing. So if you're doing like a Kanye West or Rihanna edit or something, like people see the name Rihanna and that gets them hooked.
Yeah.
And then they click it and listen, and then they're like, "Well, who made this?" And then they move on to your name.
Okay.
And it's definitely a marketing technique, and a bit of a cheap hack, but it definitely works. And if you want to build up some extra listeners or followers, like that was something I would recommend to people too.
That's interesting, because I've got into producing only very recently, and I would have thought if I'm doing a remix, I'm competing with all the other remix out there of that popular song, and that it'd be harder to get noticed rather than original music. But what you're saying actually does make sense.
Yeah.
You know, you're piggybacking off a massive name, which is a lot easier than,
especially if it's like a trending song on TikTok and stuff. Like you're definitely going to get some listeners from just naming it a remix of that. But
it all depends on what stage you're at. Like if you're in the early stages, definitely a good leg up. How did you make the transition then from edits to making your own original music?
I think I just built up enough followers and listeners where I was able to release original music and I could get some people to click on it. And like once I was able to do that, that's whenever I was able to do original music, and there was enough people clicking on it whenever I would release it, where the algorithm could take over and push it, and some of them would do horrible, some of them would do good, but it's just we're slaves to the algorithm, unfortunately. Yeah.
So sorry, go on.
I think that Ireland's like pumping out DJs and producers, but definitely more so DJs. And there's a lot of DJs that don't produce. So I suppose like obviously production is a huge part of what you do, but for up and coming DJs, I think like there's a lot to be said that Instagram and, you know, like TikTok content is very crucial in landing better bookings. But I think like obviously your network is your net worth. So how would you, what kind of ways do you go about building your network?
I don't really have a network.
Everybody has a network though, as in like, you know, as in your industry friends and other promoters and through Barbed and stuff.
I mean,
I suppose because you produce, a lot of your bookings do solely come from your music alone. Yeah. But when you're in the earlier stages where you didn't have a catalogue of music, how did you go about getting bigger shows?
I guess I didn't really, like that's why I ended up just having to throw my own shows.
Yeah. So
like I really didn't have that, like any connections with promoters that would like help me out or get me like a warm up slot at like a decent club. Like I didn't really have that. I've obviously got an agent now who I hope has a good network. So like obviously he deals with all that stuff, but like I never really had much help to help me get gigs or anything. I kind of just had to do it on my own, unfortunately. But definitely if you're good at networking, I mean, I recommend if you want to get a gig somewhere to go down to the club and show your face and be a regular and show the promoter that you're interested in their night. Like that'll definitely help you get gigs, but that wasn't something I ever done.
So you just created it for yourself, really?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. I think it is a good method to kind of like, I suppose, put on your own shows, or instead of waiting around for a bone to be thrown, just go and make it happen.
I think one of the good things I did was whenever I grew out of the illegal raves and was throwing like proper shows, and I was booking, it was me and a partner of mine in Belfast. We were booking like big artists, like big-ish artists, like Crystal Clear and stuff. So we were booking them, and then obviously because I would run the night, I was able to put myself on the warm-up slot. So like it was good to have my name, like Crystal Clear in the poster, and then my name in the poster. Like that was a really good sort of into the industry for me. But I wouldn't have been able to do that unless I was proactive about throwing my own events, which is sad because you shouldn't have to do that. You shouldn't have to take a risk of throwing your own event or paying thousands of euros to book an artist just to get a foot in the door. Do you know what I mean? It shouldn't be like that. But for me, that's what worked.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like that though, because of how saturated the scene is as well.
Yeah.
Like it would be a bit of a nightmare, I think, if every new DJ started their own collective and started throwing their own parties. But I suppose it's hard to selectively say who's, who can and can't do that as well.
I mean, I think everyone can admit that just having musical talent alone by itself just isn't enough to get you anywhere in the industry, unfortunately. I wish it was, but it's definitely fucking not. Like, you need so much more. Like, you need...
Talent often gets overlooked now.
100%.
It's your marketability.
Followers and your content, and if you're good at networking, you're gonna do better than people that are worse than networking. Like, it's a combination of so many different things that can get you into a career in music production and DJing.
Yeah. How do you deal with pressure, and like, did that change when you got to a point where you could do it full time as a job? Did the pressure really increase at that stage?
I mean, yeah, I still get nervous before sets, especially the bigger ones. I would get a real like sick tummy and get a little bit of a jitter and a little bit of a shake, but I think that's just a part of it. If you're going to play in front of like 5,000 people, it's always going to be a little bit nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
I don't know about other DJs if they get nervous, but I definitely still have those nerves.
It's probably not just you.
Probably not.
Have you ever thought about quitting in your career?
Oh no. I'll be doing this.
So was there never a plan B? I know you went to college, but when you were in college, was it always still okay, I'm going down this route?
Yeah. Like it was always a this or nothing, to be honest. Yeah. I haven't thought of plan B. Like, it was always something I wanted to do. It's something that I'm always going to want to do. I don't really care how much I'm getting paid for it. Like, it's still always going to be something that I'll do. I enjoy it. I love sitting in the studio during the week. I love going at the weekend and playing in different cities. Like, it's incredible.
That's unreal that you enjoy it. There's so much longevity in that then.
Yeah.
And it's, you reduce the chance of getting burnt out.
I'm definitely a realist in that, like, a music career has a certain lifespan. Like, it's only natural for things to dry up eventually. Like, I think you have to be extremely, extremely lucky to have a full, like, until you're like a retirement age career in music, because like trends change, you become old, you become washed up. Like, that's definitely going to happen, but as long as I'm still getting like 30 people showing up, I'm happy enough. Like,
yeah. If you were to go back then, like, would you have done anything differently in terms of your DJ career and maybe producing as well in the early days?
I wouldn't have been so keen to release music. I think I should have held on to it a bit more. I think I should have honed in on my craft a bit more before putting stuff out.
Okay.
Like, at the time, I would make something when I was learning. I'd be so excited that, oh, look, I made this thing, that it made me bias that it was good. Because I'm like, I made it. Like, look at this beautiful little thing.
It's so easy, isn't it?
Looking back 2 years, if you look back 2 years later, it's like, okay, that was horrible. Like, how did I ever put that out? Yeah. So I would recommend hold on to your music. You don't have to release everything you finish.
It's your own race, really, do you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's no rush.
There's no rush. You don't have to release everything you make. You can hold on to it. You can keep practicing, keep learning. And then whenever you're comfortable and ready, that's when you can start releasing.
Yeah. I suppose for people that like look at DJing, like, that want to pursue it as a career, I suppose there's a lot of patience involved. How do you balance being impatient but equally being like ambitious at the same time? Because it's hard to be present when you want to make steps forward and you want to keep progressing.
I feel like you have to go in with the mindset that you're there to make music that you like, and you're there because you want to enjoy music with other people, and like, it's a fun thing, and that's okay. What happens if you get paid money to do that, then that's great. But if you go in with the mindset like, I want to become this rich, successful music producer as fast as possible, then you're not going to have a good time, because that's not really how it works. It's a slow process. So if you go in with the mindset it's going to be quick and you want to get there as fast as possible, you're going to run into roadblocks. You're not going to be happy. You're going to get frustrated, and it's not going to be a good time.
Yeah.
So you need to go in like, this is going to be fun. I'm doing this because I love music. I love making music. And if anything comes from it, that's fucking brilliant. That's a bonus for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%. Have you ever dealt with like imposter syndrome as you've gained more and more popularity?
Yeah. I feel like every single person you would ever ask that would say yes.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't think it would ever go away.
Where does it come from?
I don't know. Like some days I'll be in the studio and I'll be trying to make something that I want to make and I can't do it. Or I'll spend like a whole week trying to get this one certain sound and I can't get it. And in moments like that, I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I don't have a fucking clue how to produce music. I don't know anything. I don't know shit. Why am I getting paid to play music to people? Why are people listening to me? And it's the worst feeling ever. The next week, you'll finally get the sound you were looking for or make the track you were trying to make. And you're like, holy fuck, I'm a genius. I'm a musical fucking genius. So it goes from 1 week to being in the fucking pits of despair to 1 week being complete euphoria. You think you're the best, and it is just ups and downs.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Drake, not to quote Drake, because that's kind of cringy.
Quote him.
Oh, fuck. Now I feel like a retard. Anyways, I think he said, like, not to get too caught up in the highs. And then in the lows, don't beat yourself up too much, because if you can maintain like a middle ground, like through your career, you'll have a lot more longevity. Because if you're constantly up and down, it's definitely not good for the mental side of things.
I would love to reach a point where I can just come up with an idea of a track that I want, go into the studio and make it, and it comes out exactly how I imagined it, and I do it in a day. That would be the dream, but I don't think that's feasible. Like, you're always going to go in with an idea, try to do it, you fail miserably doing it, but you come up with something else in the process of failing, and something new and something unique just by failing from the original idea.
Yeah.
And I think that's just kind of how music works.
Yeah.
What have you got coming up now for the next few months? You're mentioning that you're going over to Australia.
Yeah, I've got a 3-week tour in Australia, 10 cities, and then I'm going to Japan for a week. I've got two sets at a snow ski festival.
Have you done that before? Like a ski event? It's the exact same thing he said.
Yeah.
What?
Have you done that before?
Yeah.
Who said that?
Me as well.
At the same time. Yeah, I did. I played at I think it was University of Dublin. Is there Uni of Dublin? Is that a thing?
University of Dublin?
Yeah.
I think there's a university there, yeah.
Yeah, but is it called like Uni of Dublin or something?
Yeah, UCD. University College Dublin, yeah.
I played, they had like a student trip and I went over and I played there, but like 5 minutes into my set, there was like a really big fight in the club. So they closed the club down, so I never got to play. So this is my first time technically playing at a ski festival.
Sweet. That should be fun.
And then for the rest of the year, do you know yet? Or?
Rest of the year, Emerge Festival. I don't know how much I can say about what festivals.
Yeah.
TBA.
Maybe EP, maybe AVA for the first time in a few years, which could be good.
Nice. And do you have any releases planned?
I just finished up a track the other week. It's called Deck Destroyer. I'm going to release it on Barbed within the next month.
Nice.
And it's a banger.
Sounds
what kind of style is it?
Just like heavy techno-ish kind of, but not too like heavy techno, like the hard styly stuff, just kind of like normal heavy techno.
Nice.
What's your opinion on like the frequency of releasing? How often do you think is the ideal window, or does it matter?
I don't think it matters too much. I think it's more quality over quantity, but I think once every 2 months is a good sort of rule of thumb if you want to stick to something. But sometimes I release two or three tracks in 3 months, and then sometimes I go 6 months with releasing nothing. But whether that's the optimal setup, I don't know, but that's just whenever I finish stuff and have stuff to release.
And if you're advising somebody who is just kind of getting into releasing music that doesn't already have, an established listener base,
I would recommend to release more. Like you want to sort of build up your catalog. You want to have, a portfolio to show promoters or fans. Like if you do a good song and it goes viral, you want to have like other songs in your catalog that new crowd that you've just got goes through and like listens to and like actually becomes not just like a TikTok viral fan moment. Like they're actually going to go into your back catalog. They're going to learn about you, and like that's when you're going to get these like proper fans that actually come to your shows and actually support you and pay for tickets, and they're the most valuable. Like you can have a song go viral on TikTok, but if people aren't coming to your shows, then it's no fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's the fun in that? You want to go to a show and play to a load of ravers. That's where the enjoyment is.
Mm-hmm. Sweet. Any other questions, or I think I'm ready to wrap up.
Yeah, I think that's about it. I think
we covered
a lot there.
Yeah,
thank you so much for having me.